Hello and welcome Journey to Lasting Love. I am Tina Shayani, the founder of this group, as well as the head coach at Tshay Coaching, where we help people attract and build lasting, loving relationships. I'm so happy to welcome you here today. If you know someone that will benefit from this material, please invite them to the group. Help to build this community so that we can share the information with as many people as possible. If you are ready to jumpstart your life and move to the next level, if you're in a good place but want to be in a better place, if you are unhappy with where you are and really want to take it to the next level, go to tshaycoaching.com and register for a 20-minute call with me that we can explore what I do here and how it can help you and how we can work together and which Tshay Coaching program will be best to serve you. I hope that everyone is doing well here, and let's jump right into this week's topic when we don't act on it. So over the course of these lives and all the inspiration things that we talk about and my interactions with the members of the group and my clients, I have grown as well. So I am working on practicing what I preach. So I wanted to share a little bit of that with you today, and I wanted to share a little bit of my personal story as well, which I've shared before, but I think it's appropriate to share it here with you again, and why I am doing what I'm doing. So many years ago, I guess it's 27 years ago now, when my husband Stephen and I met, I accidentally stumbled on the idea of a law of attraction and things coming into our lives. So when I was dating, and I had the mindset that I was dating for marriage. I wasn't dating to have a boyfriend. I was dating to meet the one. So when I was dating, I would have kind of an idea of what I was looking for. I would say, I'm looking for someone who is these things. And then I would meet the person that kind of matched the description that I was working on. And I was like, oh, you know what? It's not quite right. There is still something missing here. There is something else. And I would keep refining the list. And I didn't know what I was doing. It was just something that I stumbled upon. And I would kind of laugh because I thought that I had this magical connection to the universe, because I would ask for something in my own mind, and then the universe would bring me the person that matched the description that I was asking for. And little by little, my description kept being refined, and it kept getting refined more and more. And when I met Stephen, I laughed. I actually laughed out loud because he had so many of the criteria that I was looking for. And I always say that I felt as if the sky opened up and this miracle person fell into my lap, because he is and was what I was looking for. And it was such an amazing thing. And I remember coming home and telling my Mom, I have a connection with God. And whatever I ask for, I get. And look at this guy who really so perfectly matches my criteria. And she laughed. She said, you don't have a magic connection with God. But she was wrong, because I do. But we all have this magical connection. We all have this ability to talk to the universe and ask for what it is that we're looking for. And the truth is, we can do it on purpose, or we can do it by accident. Years later, I discovered that there is this thing called the law of attraction that is becoming bigger and bigger and more talked about. So we are always in this communication with the universe, but sometimes, very often, while complaining, we are asking for things that we don't want, and we are calling into our life experience things that we don't want. But now that we know that we do have this personal, intense connection with the universe, and that it is sending us what we're asking for, we need to consciously and on purpose ask for the things that we want, that will enhance our lives, that will make our lives better. So we need to stop living our life by default and do it on purpose. And it's easy to get off the track. And that's okay. We're never, ever going to be completely on track. And it came to a point that I was afraid to have thoughts because I was like, oh my God, I am asking for things in the universe and I just had this negative thought. And now this negative thing is going to come into my experience. But we don't have to be so afraid. And if we can control our thoughts, even half the time, we will be in good shape. That will make a very big difference. If we can just be aware of what it is that we're doing, that makes a very big difference. And we can ask for things from the universe on purpose instead of accidents. The universe is a responsive universe and it is reacting to us every moment of every day. So why not use this power, this infinite power that we have inside of us to create the life of our dreams? And a lot of people will tell you, that's just crazy. That's ridiculous. And they can think what they want, but we know that this exists. And we have nothing to lose by trying. We have nothing to lose by keeping a positive attitude, by knowing what it is that we're looking for, by knowing what will make our lives better. We have absolutely nothing to lose. And we can live in a space that we are not afraid of life, that we are not afraid of the next thing that is coming around, because we have some control over what is coming towards us with our thoughts, our feelings, and the words that we speak. Now, we talk about all of these things. We talk a lot about change here as well. Now, change is one of the most difficult things that we can do. Changing ourselves can be so difficult. Why? Because our physical body, our subconscious mind is designed to keep us safe. And it looks at the situation that we're in right now and goes, okay, I am safe now. Things are going well now. How can I keep everything the way that it is to keep me safe? But the way that it is may not be in our best interest, may not be a situation that we are happy, that we can create a joyful life. So we need to understand how difficult it is to change and be okay with that. So when that voice inside of us says, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, I'm scared, just skip this one, I'll do it later, I'll do it tomorrow. We need to take a step back and say, okay, this is the voice that is afraid of change. And we need to not be afraid of change and say, I am ready to create life. And then we can take that. So that's the inspiration, right? To create change in our lives, to create a joyful world, to understand that we have the power to create a better life for ourselves, and understand that there is something inside of us that's going to try to keep us from changing. When we understand that, then we are in a position to say, okay, it's okay that I am afraid. It's okay that I'm nervous to do what I want to do. It's okay that I am scared to make this change. I'm going to do it anyway. And that is the step that we take action, that we take action to do small things that make our lives better. So going back to the example of myself and dating, when I kept meeting Mr. Wrong and going on sometimes terrifying dates that I just wanted to be back home as soon as possible. If we can go back to that example, at some point I could have given up and said, you know what? The man of my dreams just doesn't exist. Or I could say, well, I met this guy and he is good enough. He doesn't really make that feeling for me. I don't have that feeling, but he is so good on paper. He would be great. and I could have settled. But I didn't do those things, even though in some ways it would have been easier. But when I actually met Stephen, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that he was the person for me, that he was the right person for me, that I had built myself and my vision of the life that I wanted to have to the point that I was ready to meet the right person, that I didn't have to settle and I didn't have to give up and I didn't have to listen to a friend or my aunt or my grandmother telling me, this is a great guy. You're going to end up alone if you don't marry him. Why are you going to break up with a great guy? Why are you going to break up with someone who you're comfortable with? Searching for a dream, chasing a dream. I could have listened to all of those things, but then I wouldn't be where I was, where I am. So I kind of pushed through and waited for the right opportunity, but I was also open to new opportunities. So what is it in our lives that we want to change? So if you are in a relationship that you know is not the one for you, it is time to be brave enough to move on from that relationship, to let that go so that we are open and we are available for the next thing, the next best thing. And the next one may not be the one, but it is a situation that we are refining our vision. We are refining what it is that we're looking for. We are refining our criteria and we are open. We are available, because if you're already in a space saver, you will not be available for somebody else. So it's so important to be available, to take advantage of those opportunities, to let go of this idea of fearing change, to understand that it's normal to feel the fear of change, and understand that our subconscious mind is going to do its very best to try and prevent change from coming in. But at the same time, we are okay with it. We can say, okay, I know that change is scary, but I'm going to take this small step. I'm going to go on this date that someone set me up with. I'm going to go out with this person that I met through a dating app. I'm going to go to this function, even though the last 6 functions that I went to were terrible, even though the last 10 dates that I went on went nowhere. And we are going to be okay with that. If we can be okay with that, then our inspiration can begin to become action. And we keep putting ourselves out there and attracting more and more opportunities until we find the one. And then we have a new set of challenges that comes up when we do meet the one. How to keep that relationship vital and strong in an ever-changing world. Our relationship, our lives, our external world is always changing, but we on the inside are trying to keep everything the same. So how can we develop a relationship that lasts over time? How can we nurture this relationship that lasts over time? And that is an entirely new challenge. So we have one challenge of being open to meeting the one, and then what do we do then? So many relationships, so many marriages, 50% in fact, end in divorce. So what went wrong? Was it the wrong person? Or were we not able to kind of roll with the punches of life and build and sustain that relationship? What did we do within that relationship to feel alienated, to allow the actions of our mate to alienate us, to make us step away? And why do we do that? Why do we close ourselves off once we are in a relationship? Again, it's fear. When our boyfriend or husband or life partner says something that we don't like, we tend to become defensive and to take a step back. And I think that this is the demise of many relationships. when we pull ourselves away in order to protect ourselves from pain, and we react to the comment or the action of our spouse in a negative way. So, to make an example of something in my own personal life, I try very hard to not be reactive. When something happens that is displeasing to me, how is my reaction? Do I pull away or do I engage more and allow myself to be vulnerable? It's so hard to open up, even within the context of a relationship. So this is something that I've been working on, to kind of be more open, to be more loving, to speak with the words of love instead of being defensive. And I give you a small, silly little example. I'm supposed to take my car in actually, my son is supposed to take his car in for service. So my husband made an appointment for 9 o'clock this morning at a place that was 45 minutes away. And my initial reaction was to be so annoyed that he did this. Doesn't he know I have things to do? Isn't this disrespectful? Why does he do this to me? All of these thoughts flood into my head. But then I took a step back and I said, okay, he is trying to help me. His intention is not to belittle me, to disrespect me, to treat my time as if it's not valuable. Doesn't somewhere 45 minutes away before, I can't do it. So I took a step back and I said, thank you for making the appointment. I know you're watching out for me. And then he said, you can call and change the appointment to a more convenient time, instead of engaging in an argument and saying, you disrespected me, but the car needs to go in. So there are many ways to take a silly little thing, because all the things that we argue about, most of the things that we argue about are silly little things, but then we take them and we grow them into these monsters. And we'll turn our loving mate into a monster, and our reaction will provoke the monster that is within that person, or we will interpret it that way. So it's very important to look at what is behind the actions of this person and how can I react to it to not turn it into a monster, not take something small and make it into a major problem. How can I diffuse the situation? How can I speak in a loving way? So this is what I've been doing to kind of practice what I preach. And I see the change in my own relationship over the last few years that I've been doing this, because I am now more aware. I am paying attention to what's happening, more than anything else, to what's happening inside of me and what is causing me to react and what is behind that reaction, and how can I react differently in order to have a more positive outcome. Another area of my life, because I said that I would be personal today and tell you what I'm doing and how I'm growing by doing this work with you, and all the reading that I do and all the thinking that I do before this live to come up with a topic, and all the conversations that I have with so many different people throughout the weeks and months. So change is hard, right? And I've talked about this before. I have never been an exerciser, right? And I am someone who doesn't know how to do it. And this is something that I hide behind. I'm like, well, I don't know how to exercise. I hate exercise. I don't know what to do. So what do? I do nothing. I do nothing. So instead of doing nothing, I said, okay, I'm going to do something small. Something small. I found a 20-minute yoga video, which for most people would be a joke. 20 minutes, what's 20 minutes? But I did it. And every time before I do it, I find 12 1,000 excuses to avoid this little tiny 20-minute exercise. But I talk myself off the ledge and I push myself to do it. And little by little, I'm becoming better at it. I'm not doing it every day. I'm doing it as often as I can, 4 or 5 times. Then yesterday, my daughter Gabby was home and she pushed me to go to a Pilates class, which I felt like a total fool. I came up with 2,000 excuses to not go, but I went and I was silly there because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to operate the machine. I didn't know how to move my body, but I did it. And today I am sore. It is difficult to do that. But it's okay. It was a step forward. It was a step forward. And if I go again, which I will, it's one more step, one more step. Another avenue that I have kind of been practicing what I preach. This past week, I was looking at baby pictures with Raquel because she is working on her yearbook. She's a senior in high school and she had to find a baby picture of herself. So I'm going through all the pictures of us from the last 17 years of her life. And I'm looking at the thoughts that I had about myself, that I was very critical of my physical body, as we all are. And I can tell you from now until, I don't know, the end of time, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But let's really, don't be critical of yourself, but let's really stop being critical of ourselves. So I'm looking at my pictures from before and I'm saying, wow, I looked really good. I looked really good and I was so hard on myself then. And why did I do that? Where did it get me? Where did it get me to be so critical of myself? So I made a decision that I'm going to stop doing that. Am I perfect? No, I'm not perfect. But who is? When is the last time you went out into the world in your interactions and you met a woman, a person, anyone who was perfect? When is the last time that you encountered a supermodel, which is the criteria that we set for ourselves, which is so ridiculous and it's so damaging and it keeps us from living and being happy. So in light of that, I went shopping and I bought 2 bikinis. Why? Because why not? Why can't I just love the body that I'm in the way that it is? And I stopped wearing bikinis after my first child was born because I felt not good enough. And I was trying to hide behind this fabric. But I have decided that it's time. It's time to let go of the bullshit. And nobody is really paying so much attention to me anyway. There's no paparazzi following me. So why can't I just feel comfortable in my own skin? And when I put it on, I feel uncomfortable and I want to suck it in. But the more I do it, the more I start to say, you know what? I am good. I am beautiful, just the way I am today. And I'm going to embrace it. The happier I am, the better I feel when I give that validation to myself. So I bought the bikinis. I'm going to wear them. And whoever doesn't like it, that's okay because I am going to feel good in it. Not because anything physically has changed, but because my mindset has changed. I have decided that I am going to feel good. And that is a big change, deciding to feel good today. And that kind of acceptance of my body and feeling good pushes me a little bit more to do that 20-minute yoga. And is it going to turn me into a supermodel? Probably not. But it will increase my flexibility. Maybe it'll give me a little muscle tone. Whatever it does, I'm going to go with it. But at the end, I feel good. I feel like I took a step. I'm taking a step towards change, towards something better. But first and today, right now, before anything changes, I've decided to accept myself and be loving to myself exactly the way I am today. Is there room for improvement? Of course, there's always room for improvement in everything. That's why people do crazy things. Like you look at people that seem like they have everything in life, but they're looking for the next challenge. They're looking for the next thing. And this is what keeps life exciting. Not to stay in our comfort zone, but to push beyond it and to be uncomfortable and to create change and take ourselves and our lives to the next level. So I invite you to do this with me, to let go of resisting change, to understand that it's normal, that it's natural for our psyche to stop us from doing things differently. Our psyche is trying to keep the status quo, but we need to push against this and create change in our lives. But let's do it slowly. If I decide to do an hour and a half intensive workout every day, guess what? I'm not doing it. It's not going to happen. But if I say, okay, let's do this 20-minute thing in my living room with my YouTube channel 3 times a week, that is something that I can accomplish. And once I've done that, I can take the next step and the next step. So step by step, in a year, I will be in a very different place than I am now. So just to wrap up today's conversation, inspiration is great, but we need to couple inspiration with action. And we can do that together. We can inspire each other, and then we can hold each other accountable to take those actions, to take those small steps to create the change that we want. And drop by drop, if you put a drop every day, at the end of the year, we will be somewhere. Whereas if you stop and look after 3 days, you won't be anywhere. After 2 weeks, you may not be anywhere. But if we keep at it, drop by drop, at the end of the year, we're going to be somewhere. And that's what I'm looking to do with us here in our group. I'm looking to be in a better place for as many of us as possible a year from now, that I want to look back in December of 2024 and say, wow, this was a year that I made things better. And I invite you to do that with me. So if you are interested to really be held accountable, to really look and see what it is that's holding you back and remove those blocks, set up that connection call with me through the website, and let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do together to build a better life. And from each of you, I am learning and growing as well. So let's do it together. Thank you for joining me today. If you are watching on replay, please leave a comment so that I know that you were here. Let me know your thoughts. If there is a particular topic that you want to talk about, please let me know. Let me know if this message resonates with you. Leave a comment, invite other people to the group, and I look forward to seeing you again.